I'm a believer that this team's going to win the national championship.
Something stupid is coming out of his mouth.
I don't know. Maybe it's just my age. He needs his vote pulled immediately. And of course, yes, a season like this has to have a name.
Let's talk about something good about Justin Freck. What are you doing?
The season of dreams. Ohio State, my guys, are either the best or the second best program in the history of college football.
This guy is a bonehead. They love him.
I question your judgment as an adult. I really do.
I was a total hater. I know that for a fact, and I just don't get it.
Get us back our sleeves.
And say, bring me that. That's the one I want.
And welcome to Juckonbucks, coming to you from Dublin, Ohio, at my son's apartment. I'm not going to do the full post-game show. As you can hear, my voice hurts like hell. But one of the the single most unique Ohio State game I've ever been to in my life. And I just want to get my initial thoughts on this sucker down before I hit the sack here. We had heard all week about what this thing was going to be like with the Tennessee fans. Was it going to be 30,000, 40,000? What was it really going to be like? And from the parking lot, walking through the parking lots and everything outside the stadium, it felt like we were at a neutral site game and Ohio State fans had showed up well. You know, we go to a neutral site game, usually Ohio State fans have the numbers. That's what it felt like around the stadium. And I was stunned. Props to those Tennessee fans, man. I mean, just props to them. That was cool as hell. I mean, I'd be very proud as an Ohio State fan if we went to somebody else's stadium, a big time opponent, not Northwestern or Purdue, and it looked like that. But they were cocky. They weren't rude. They weren't nasty. They were classy, mostly a very classy bunch. I talked to quite a few, and they were confident. They were very confident. They thought they had this one in the bag. They're an SEC squad, Ohio State's SEC record. And I talked to you guys all week, the people I talked to in the comments. So they legitimately think that because of Ohio State's 2-13, well, now 3 and whatever the hell it is, record against the SEC in the postseason, that just by virtue of playing in the SEC, they're going to beat Ohio State. And that's what they thought. And inside the stadium, I got to my seat, and this is when I'm going to play a video here for you. The Tennessee fans were in their seats early. They were ready to go. They were singing Rocky Top, and it was just infuriating. But I'm going to play that for you right now. The north end of the stadium and the east side of the stadium were probably split about 50-50. The south stands were all Buckeye fans. The west side, the side under the press box, was probably 90% Buckeye fans. But the north and the east was about a 50-50 split. And I could not believe it. I couldn't believe what I was looking at. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. But what it was a visual representation of this divided fan base and where a lot of people are. That's the start of the most unique Ohio State game I've ever been to, because what that did was it made the Ohio State fans, who I'm sure all of whom, we didn't really talk to anybody about it, but they were feeling like me, like, this is embarrassing. And it was embarrassing. And it juiced us up in a way that it was the most rabid Ohio State fan base in the shoe, non-Michigan, I've ever seen in my life. It was nuts. I've never heard it so loud. My ears were ringing. My ears don't ring in this shoe. My ears were ringing all night, all flipping night. And I was listening to Dave Biddle and J Book on the way home, driving, and Book said, he thinks Fox messes with the audio because of what he heard on ESPN's broadcast tonight. And he may be right about that, but I've never heard it like that. I've heard it like that for spells in big games. I've never heard it consistently as loud and with only 70,000 Ohio State fans, because there was definitely 30 to 35,000 Tennessee fans. I've never heard it like that. And it was in reaction to the play on the field, the consequence of the game, it's a playoff game, and responding to them. And they were so loud pregame, and they were, Rocky Top over and over and over again. The woo, it's great to be a Tennessee Volunteer all through the concourse, and it was so many of them. And it was shocking. But the Buckeye fans at the game responded, and I mean, it was nuts. My ears were ringing, and I'm talking bundled up. My wife's ears were ringing, hats on. So cool. So cool. The entire stadium stood the entire game. The entire game. There was no, we talk about the blue hairs at the shoe. The sit down crowd, my buddy Chad from the Best Damn Podcast likes to call him, and he can't stand him. There wasn't, he'd have been happy. Not a single person sitting in that place. You couldn't see a thing if you sat, no chance. And again, something we don't usually experience at the shoe, standing the entire game. It was awesome. And the way the team played, let's talk about the way the players came out. The juice they came out with, the way they acted on the sideline, these guys were ready to play. They were excited. They were fired up. They were chirping back at Tennessee. Like they knew they could whoop these boys. They knew it. It was confidence. There was the attitude that they had, and they were getting the fans involved. And you could tell that they were irritated with all the feminine orange in the stadium as well. And then the new lights. And I want to show you guys what this looked like in the stadium. Now, there's a lot of kinks to work out. So for one, we were told they were going to do a big drone show. And the drone show, well, we thought, are they going to do this pregame? No, they didn't do a pregame. Must be at halftime. No, didn't come at halftime. They did the drone show while they were playing on the field. So we're looking up to the right over the scoreboard, and they're doing the drone show. And I'll show you a little video here, and flick it back, and plays going on. Here's what that looked like.
That's pretty sick.
That's nuts. It's still up there.
I know.
So that's unique. You don't usually see the drone show competing with the action on the field. Some kinks to work out with that. Some kinks to work out with the new LED lights too. But wow, you want to talk about instantly making the atmosphere so much better. I don't know what it is about it, and it doesn't show good. I watched this video. It doesn't show as much on the video, but it just feels like it just brings you in a way that that wasn't there before. It was awesome. It was awesome. They did not do what we see they do it at Georgia and Bama, which is, when they score, they'll flash the LED lights, and they take the big lights up top, and they'll shut those down, and it gets dark in the stadium. I was hoping they would do that. They didn't do that yet. They certainly got some things to work out with them, but it made the atmosphere so much better. It was really, really cool, and I'm going to play a little bit of that now. So that's a bit of what it looked like, but what you can see on the video is just the strips of light. You don't get the residual effect, like the haze. It feels like everything around you, like it just looks different in person. Just it changes the whole hue of the stadium to that red hue. Um, it's just a different vibe. It's a totally different vibe. And when it's synced up with the music, I mean, it was just an instant level up. And I don't know what they spent on it, but worth every penny. I mean, just unbelievable. Total level up. And they're going to get the details down, and they'll do the same with the drone show, I'm sure. And our night game atmosphere, so much better just immediately off of that. And I wonder if maybe that helped with the fan reaction. Obviously, the thing that helped the fan reaction the most was on the field. My gosh, man. You know, when we talked about this game all week, I said this is not everybody was worried. Not everybody. A lot of people were worried, you know, because of the game we just saw previously, game number 12. And in game number 12, I kept saying we saw 11 games before game number 12. Just because game number 12 was the most recent one doesn't mean that's what we're going to see. Why don't we just say we'll probably see what they looked like the first 11? But I think they're going to do something different. And all week, Tuesday's press conference with Jim Knowles and all the defensive players, it was all about Tennessee's tempo. How are you going to deal with Tennessee's tempo? Jim Knowles had a strategy, how he was going to deal with their tempo. My opinion on the thing was Ohio State's offense was going to, which has run 60 plays on offense a game this year, down from 61. One of the things I was most excited about bringing Chip Kelly over was getting the pace of play up higher, running more plays a game. And instead, they intentionally slowed things down even more, slower than last year, dropped down an entire play a game. And I could not understand why. That was the decision Ryan Day chose to go with this. He talked about the helmet communication, wanting Will Howard to look him in the eyes in the huddle. It made no sense to me at all. But I thought that this game, we would see them run no huddle and run tempo in a way that we have not seen. Sure enough, that's exactly how they came out. They came out in the first quarter, and the reason they went gangbusters and scored 21 points in the first quarter was running that no huddle and letting Will just rip it, hurrying up to the line. They were gunning, off and running. Will wasn't looking them in the eyes in the huddle. They did just fine. And again, just another thing like what could have been this year, like what we could have seen all year, but it doesn't matter, right? Because now we've seen it. They've seen it. They see how comfortable Will is in a freezing cold atmosphere. That's a great defense. Chip was able to scheme around the offensive line deficiencies with the quick game to the backs. It was beautiful, man. Wasn't it beautiful? My gosh. It was so much fun. Guys, it was so much fun. I wish you all were there, man. It was so much fun. It was the most satisfying game, especially all the crap we've been through for the last 3 weeks and the talk, just to see the Buckeyes out there. And by the way, the all scarlet uniforms, which I'm not crazy about, man, do they look good under the lights. They just look beautiful. The performance was great. The defense was so nasty. My gosh. I mean, you guys know, you saw them. What a game, though. What a game. And we're going to the Rose Bowl for a rematch with the Ducks. And now all of a sudden, if you're someone who was totally out on Day, unless, he gets to, but someone who could be bought back in with a run in the postseason, this looks like the start of a run. It looks like the start of a run. You got the best team up next, and picture what could happen here. Should you be able to get through them, you're going to get another shot at another SEC team in Texas. And this could just set up to be the most unbelievable story since 2014 in college football. And I'm getting juiced, man. What a game. What an experience. By the way, guys, you're not gonna believe this. So last week I was on the show and I got a comment and I read it on the show. It was a Buckeye fan who was born in Ohio and lived here till about, I don't know, he didn't say exactly when he was a kid, his family moved to Arkansas. Been a Buckeye fan all his life, and he's talked about how much crap he's had to take living down there in SEC country being a Buckeye fan. Never been to the shoe, and drove 16 hours for his first Ohio State game for the game. Drove 16 hours back, and he said, I was so disappointed, but I'm coming back up for the playoff game, and I sure hope I'm not so disappointed again. So I'm walking in to my aisle, and my wife and my son, my oldest son, was with us, and we were having an issue. Okay, which way we're going to go? We're going to walk up the next rung and step over. You know how that goes when there's a woman involved, and she was halfway down this one. And I'm like, let's just go over here. Guy taps me on the shoulder. Chuck, hey, I left the comment. I'm the guy from Arkansas. Are you kidding me? He was right there in my row. Is that crazy? I was so happy for that dude that he drove all the way up from Arkansas again and got to see this game. That nothing's going to erase that Michigan game. Nothing's going to erase it. It happened. It's still it's even more befuddling after watching this tonight. Maybe even more infuriating after watching this tonight. But this was as good as it gets. I mean, this was just wonderful. Even in a spot at halftime, right? 21-10 looked like, okay, maybe things might start moving Tennessee's way here when we come back out. And they start with the ball. So they come out. I think they got one first down. Defense shuts them down, get the ball back. Boom, go score. And that's a wrap. You got to see all four quarterbacks. They all four got in the game. That's when's the last time you saw that? You saw QB2, then QB3, then QB4. By the way, QB2, the one ball he got to throw, I don't know what the hell happened there. Maybe you guys saw it better from the TV view, but it looked like he just straight up dirted a ball 12 yards in front of his target. To me, I don't know if there was a miscommunication on that. It was kind of on the other end of the field from where I was at. By the way, also always a gamble when you're on one side of the field. So I was on like the 10-yard line. All the JJ stuff happened on the other end of the field, which was just like, man. But he did have some stuff right in front of me. First time I got to see him in person because of the post-game show, I said, like, I'm not going to any games this year. I'm going to dedicate myself and do this thing immediately live. So this was the first game I got to go to. It's the first time I seen him in person. And it was different. It was different than seeing him on TV. And it sure it stood out being able to watch him, not just in all 22 film, which I do, but just being able to key in on him off ball, right? Like, so different. And your eyes just gravitate towards it. It's just like there's a different player on a field full of guys in Tennessee and Ohio State. You know, at any given time, there's probably 14 future NFL players on the field, but there's just one that looks totally different. By the way, Nico, man, wow, that's a gamer. There was a point in the game early on, and we didn't I got a text message that his helmet got cracked. I still haven't seen that highlight. That's awesome. But there was a point in the game where it looked like he was just shook, and rightfully so. And he kept gaming, man. He kept gaming. His balls are beautiful. My gosh, they are gorgeous. And I just couldn't get enough of them. Watching them, it's so graceful. It's just a beautiful ball. It really is. But he is so slippery. Everybody was outrunning him. He was quick cutbacks for his size. He was way better runner than I thought. Way better runner than I thought. So, you know, kudos to him. That dude's going to be really good. And kudos to those Tennessee fans who were, classy in defeat. They were very classy in defeat, and they sure showed out. But Our Buckeyes, man. They were so happy with themselves after the game. That play that Bryce West made at the end of the game, tremendous play. Tremendous play. But I did notice that when Bryce West came to the sideline, you want to talk about, you can tell sometimes when a player is beloved on their team, they love Bryce West, and that was really cool. All the seniors came up to go pat him on the back. It was pretty cool. So Luke Montgomery, he was so fired up, man. You could tell he was just having a great time, his first ever start. Like, that was so cool. That was so cool watching Luke. Josh Fryer, he was amped up, which was really cool to see. Just a great game. Hell of an experience. And we're going to the Rose Bowl, guys. We're going to the Rose Bowl. I can't wait. Now we get to go have a different conversation than all the crap that we've talked about for the last 3 weeks. Because, boy, if this would have went the other way, I don't know if I could have done it. I don't know if I could have done it. So great night for us. Great night to be a Buckeye fan. And I will, when I go home tomorrow, put together probably a show. I'll probably do a show with Dylan, actually. Dylan's got a lot to say about this game too. So Dylan and I will probably have a conversation at some point tomorrow, and we'll go live when we can hook up together, I think. But at any rate, appreciate you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Go Bucks.
Hey, it's Juck.
Juck? Who the f- is Juck?
Juckonbucks.
Juckonbucks. Juckonbucks?
Juckonbucks.
My guy Juck.
Juckonbucks?
My buddy Juck.
Juck is the Juck.
Juckonbucks.
Okay.
Juck is junk.
The Juckeyes. The
All
Juckeyes.
his fans. Juckonbucks.
Junk. Juck. Not junk. Juck.